Ruto's China remarks and US backlash. President Ruto has a bone to pick with Americans. Welcome back, Dr. Politica. I'm your analyst, Peter Ogutu. Decoding power, dissecting Kenya. It's our motto here.
Watching President Ruto with the Chinese holding hands and talking about a new world order is just stunning. After all the work and effort we've put in there, and to see him talking about a new world order, you know, the new world order was constructed by the United States and democracies, capitalist countries that are human rights loving countries, and the new world order that these countries are talking about is being constructed by the autocracies, the outright communists, socialists, people who have no respect for human rights.
Now, President Ruto's recent statements in China have ignited a diplomatic storm with US lawmakers, questioning Kenya's loyalty and calling for reassessment of the statements. His remarks about Kenya and China being co-architects of a new world order have raised concerns in Washington, where officials fear Kenya may be shifting its geopolitical stance. You know very well that China and America are two rivals, and both the superpowers are competing to control the world. And Ruto's loose tongue remarks in China has made him be hated by Americans, and is now being seen as someone who is pro-China. And this statement is really dangerous to a country like Kenya, which is actually depending on America or on USA. What did Ruto say, and why is the US hungry? Ruto's speech at Peking University, he described the current global system as broken, dysfunctional, and no longer fit for purpose, calling for a new world order led by Kenya and China. Ruto is trying to tell the US that your functional is broken, and actually Kenya is the one that can really do this better.
The first African state visit to China this year mirrors my 2024 visit to the United States, the first African state visit there in 15 years. Perhaps, symbolically, Kenya can serve as a bridge between East and West, North and South, in an era of deepening geopolitical tensions.
And to Americans, people who have ego, who think that there's power and they can control anything, that's the worst statement that Ruto has said to them. And they are threatening sanctions, they are threatening, cutting ties with Kenya, which of course will impact Kenyan market the longest time. And now Trump being the president, and Trump as a non-nonsense person can easily, cut links with Kenya. US reaction, Senator James Rich, let me quote what he said. He warned that Kenya's deepening ties with Beijing could stain its non-NATO ally status. Washington's fear. The US sees Ruto's remarks as more than trade operation. They suggest ideological alignment with China, which could impact military and economic partnership. Yeah, this could impact military and economic partnership. And could this signal a shift in Kenya's foreign policy, or was Ruto simply making diplomatic statements to please Beijing? That's the problem with Ruto. He always wants to please people wherever he is now. Okay? Now, if we are in Kenya, wherever he goes, he says things that will please people. But in the long run, they turn out to be lies or to be uncomfortable. Now, Ruto went to China and he was pleasing, the Chinese people, Beijing people. Yeah, forgetting that he will one day need Americans. And now the loose tongue is been using or used in China is now haunting him. And Americans demands explanation. Why did he have to attack America, while in China, and China is a rival, a big rival, to Americans. Now, what are the risks now? What does Kenya stand to lose? With these statements from Ruto, let me tell you what Kenya stands to lose. Kenya has recently designated a major NATO ally, granting it privileged access to US military support. Yeah, Kenya was enjoying support, military support from Americans. Remember the issue of Haiti. Haiti was supported by Joe Biden, and I think Joe Biden gave Ruto some dollars, some $1 billion, to conduct the operation. That's why the IT thing was being pushed by Ruto because money was involved. That's the reality. And now, with Ruto talking bad about Americans, it will really dawn to him. And actually, Americans can withdraw military support from Kenya, and this will actually do bad to Ruto. Now, economic consequences. Economic consequences. If Washington reassesses its relationship, Kenya could lose key trade benefits and financial aid. If Washington reassesses its relationship with Kenya, Kenya could lose key trade benefits and financial aid. Yeah, Kenya stands to lose key trade benefit and financial aid if Americans or USA decides to follow up these statements that Ruto made while in China. And again, IMF and World Bank tensions. Ruto has previously criticized Western financial institutions, arguing they favor wealthy nations. You see now, the Asla narrative took the narrative to the world level. And now he says that IMF has been, championing or benefiting people who are wealthy, ignoring the poor people or poor countries or underdeveloped countries. And this is an insult to Americans. And USA don't like being told the truth. So Ruto is messing himself up. Now, Beijing will play a huge role in pulling Kenya from USA. That's what I say, because these are big competitors, Americans and Chinese people. And again, Chinese expanding influence. Beijing has been increasing its presence in Africa through infrastructure projects and financial aid. We have seen China, developing, coming up with roads, buildings in Kenya. In China have, have invaded Africa, and they want to control Africa in terms of development. So these two big nations are competing for resources in Africa. And again, Kenya's strategic position. As a key player in East Africa, Kenya's alignment with China could reshape regional power dynamics. In East Africa here, Kenya is the most developed country, an advanced country. Yeah. And Kenya's realignment with China can really impact, reshape power dynamics. And Ruto's visit to China mirrors his 2024 trip to the USA, suggesting Kenya is trying to balance China and USA. Ruto is trying to please USA, at the same time he's trying to please Americans, which is not easy because these are two people who are competing. So if you go to China and talk ill about America or about USA, you will have a bone to pick with USA. If you go to USA and talk ill about China, you will have a bone to pick with China. So it's a critical situation that I think needs a president to think critically and actually not say things that will haunt him in future. And that's what happened. So Ruto's visit to China seems to be trending because of the statements he made. And I think as the president, he needs to come up with a statement or apology just to please America, because at the same time, Kenya needs America and Kenya needs China. So it will be advisable for President Ruto to be neutral to both parties so that to stand to benefit from both sides. So tell me your comment. Do you think the statements that he made, do you think they were reckless or it just came out accidentally? Maybe he didn't plan to say it, but now Americans have taken the statement so seriously.